dumpling is a winter favourite. But the origin of these ones might surprise you. They started here in this liquid, where the pork mince was grown from microscopic animal cells.
We're taking a sample of cells from a living animal, bring those into the lab, turn them into stem cells and grow them up into muscle and fat, combine them together and create a real meat product.
The product is called lab-grown or cell-based meat, and Paul Bevan hopes it will one day replace the juicy farm-grown steak on your dinner plate.
Come on through, Nadia.
He's the CEO of Magic Valley, a Melbourne startup making cell-based meat.
So this is the lab where we do everything.
The laboratories are located far from any farms or paddocks in the inner city suburb of Brunswick.
Through here is where we basically culture the cells. We take those cells, they then go typically into a bioreactor. The cells then attach to themselves, so they grow in suspension, and we can grow them up into muscle, fat, whatever cellular tissue type that we want to have in the end product.
The idea has gone from science fiction to real food in little more than a decade. And the technology is changing rapidly.
We think there are about 150 companies around the world at least that are working on the production of cultured meat.
How long does it take to go from this into a burger?
From this stage to creating the end product, it's just a matter of weeks. It's obviously very different to...
Despite his enthusiasm for lab-grown animal products, Paul is a vegan and hasn't eaten meat for 20 years. He said he wouldn't want to consume Magic Valley's product himself.
We've done a number of internal taste tests and also public taste tests as well, where we've had various restaurant owners, chefs, food critics come and try the product, and hopefully you'll get to try it today.
Will you try it today?
Look, if I ate meat, this would be the meat that I would eat.
Okay, so I want to try the dumplings, but before I do, because they're not approved for consumption in Australia yet, I have to sign a legal waiver, very heavily worded.
But lab-grown meat is still off the table for Australian diners at the moment. It hasn't yet been approved by the food regulator.
The companies who make lab-grown meat say it tastes just like the real stuff, but the proof is in the pudding, or the dumplings, as it were. So let's give it a try. It does taste like a good pork dumpling.
The food regulator is currently considering applications from another Australian company, and Paul Bevan's startup will be submitting their product for assessment soon.
We're just not really at a stage where we can have a great deal of certainty about exactly how these are going to be produced and how safe they are. So at the moment, we require a pre-market assessment for each individual product.
There's also the question of the market's appetite for lab-grown meat.
How willing do you think consumers will be to eat meat that's essentially grown in a lab?
Yeah, well, hopefully very.
Lab-made meat, also known as cultured meat, is already available for purchase in Singapore, and just a few weeks ago, the US Food and Drug Administration gave it the green light too.
When you talk to somebody about cultured meat, they go, ooh.
Is it safe for people to eat?
Well, I believe so, because it's so controlled. It's more controlled in the way it's produced than from an animal. It's not likely to be infected with any viruses or bacteria. So what would he analyse from them?
Lee Ackland is an emeritus professor in molecular biosciences and has been studying cells and growing them for years.
It's the next logical step to take something from the environment and grow it up in a controlled setting, because that's what we do with plants. We should be doing the same for meat.
It sounds a little bit sci-fi, do you think?
Not if you've been growing cells for years. It sounds so normal to me. It's just like growing plants in your garden.
Despite not having sampled it, CEO Paul Bevan says his product is not only safe but a more ethical way to consume meat.
There's no slaughter of animals involved, so the animal that we take the sample of cells from goes on to continue living its normal, natural life. Molecularly, the products are identical. The muscle is the same, the fat is the same. What we have the ability to do within the lab, which is an advantage, is fortify it with things like vitamins and minerals.
Far from a lab, 7:30 met Professor Paul Wood at a local butcher selling farm-grown meat.
Excellent. Would you like to pop in, have a look around?
Yeah. Let's do it.
He's a microbiologist who's previously worked for Meat and Livestock Australia, as well as global pharmaceutical companies developing drugs for animals.
So cell-based meat is a completely new idea. We take a biopsy from a living animal and then we grow out a particular cell type. It can be muscle cell or fat cell. At the end, we harvest those cells, and what we've got now is a cell slurry. What we're going to make out of that is actually not a steak, because this is a three-dimensional. What we're going to make is sausages, hamburgers, meatballs.
Professor Wood raises doubts about claims cell-based meat is chemically and nutritionally indistinguishable from regular meat.
So they're going to have to supplement, they're going to have to add things back, because when you grow a single cell line, it's not going to have the same levels of iron and calcium and zinc. As I said, it's not going to have any B12, so you're going to have to add those things back. So we don't know long-term what the nutritional profile is going to be. Meat's a really complex, nutritionally dense product. Multiple cell types. They've got fat cells in there, I've got muscle cells, fibroblasts, blood cells.
He's also sceptical about some of the environmental claims made about lab-grown meat, as well as its potential to replace traditional animal farming due to the high production cost.
This technology, yes, it works, but it's really expensive. One of the big drivers is people said, okay, we won't have to slaughter animals. Yeah, and that's true. The other one that people are pushing is it's going to be more sustainable. But some more recent reports have actually questioned that, because we do know that this is going to be energy intensive.
So a cultivated or lab-grown meat product will use a lot less land, a lot less water, and produce a lot less greenhouse gas emissions than traditional animal agriculture.
Public consultation opens next month, where Food Standards Australia and New Zealand will invite members of the public to have their say on whether lab-grown meat should get the tick of approval for sale.
We are expecting further applications, both from Australian and New Zealand companies and potentially from companies around the world.
The regulator will make its final decision early next year, and Professor Wood believes Australians will be tucking into lab-grown meat soon after.
I predict in Australia 2024 will probably be the first product.